And new reports out that Elon Musk's medical device company Neuralink is under federal investigation for potential animal welfare violations. That's according to documents reviewed by Reuters and not independently verified by NTD. And there are other questions surrounding Neuralink's brain chip after Musk announced recently the chips will be ready to begin human trials in 6 months. Earlier today, I spoke with Libby Emmons, editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial, for her perspective. Libby Emmons, welcome to our show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, Elon Musk says that Neuralink is about 6 months from human trials. He says it will help the blind see and help paralyzed people move again. But you're saying that these brain chips could bring about certain consequences, such as transforming humans into yet another data port in the Internet of Things. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is a concern that I have. While I appreciate the work to help the disabled, and that's of course very noble and laudable, there are concerns because we know from past experience that once a technology is released, it will be used for whatever purposes people can come up with. So my concern with Neuralink is that it creates a port, essentially, for human beings to communicate directly with a data stream. It removes the interface of both the body and the computer because you can just think your way online. You can just think your way into data. And there's no reason to believe that the data would flow in only one direction. So the concern that I have and that I've had after a lot of research is that a human being would not know where their thoughts end and where another's thoughts begin, or even worse, where their thoughts end and propaganda or advertising begin. And a hive mind is something that Elon Musk has spoken about in the past as something that could be come about through this technology.
In an article you wrote in Human Events, you say that if not controlling people's thoughts, this technology opens the way for controlling people's behaviors based on their thoughts. Mm-hmm. So if governments know what people think, they can respond, for example, with restrictions. Tell me about that.
So this is a concern as well. We've seen in China that the communist government has worked with tech companies to limit the way that communications technology is used. And they have done this in order to quell protests. As we have just recently seen, Apple disabled their AirDrop function, which is a way that dissidents have been able to communicate without going online. So to what extent will governments be able to look into what people are thinking even more than they already do with social media accounts?
Absolutely. And you've said that if we cut out the human body as the intermediary between the data ports and data streams, that will just become data ports in the metaverse with no understanding of real life or real sensation. Tell me about that.
This is a concern that I have, and I think that it is reasonable to have, especially if you look at the confluence of technologies that we are seeing come down the pike. You have Mark Zuckerberg wanting everyone to join a metaverse, which is essentially a VR reality where your mind is interfacing, where, perhaps you're using computers to do that or whatever, but where you are existing in a virtual space, not in an actual physical space. And when you combine something like that with a technology that interlinks all human beings with data streams and with each other, you suddenly have something that is not the kind of individual, autonomous, independent human being that we have come to know and love over our generations of being human beings. We have something else. We have ports. We have a thorough connection between people. And I wonder if we really want to lose that kind of independence and autonomy. Certainly, much of my perspective comes from a Christian background where I'm thoroughly steeped and love the idea that God has given us free will and that we can direct our own actions and thoughts. Would we be able to close this data port? Would we be able to shut off? It's already very difficult to turn your phone off. How much more difficult would it be when your entire reality is not in the physical plane, but on servers? It's important to ask ourselves what it means to be human, understand what that is, and decide if that's something we want to continue being, because this is going to affect all of us eventually.
Many big and essential questions there, Libby. Thank you so much. Libby Emmons, editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.